positive. I wanted to ask about, because everyone sort of asks ex-footballers about this sort of thing. What do you think about the current state of the game in comparison? No, I'm not talking about toughness or anything, that type of thing. I'm talking about everything that players are doing at the moment between when you were playing in the late 90s, early 2000s to now.
I played in a great time. Your dad probably tells you all the time as well. Just a great period, for rugby league. It was professional. For me, it was when I came in. There was a real love of the game. We didn't have the social media issues that the current day players have. Well, not just players. I think there's a social media for any kids. I've got kids and they play their Xboxes, and I didn't have any of that. And then as a rugby league player, we came in, we were great mates, we loved our rugby league. And I'm very blessed and grateful that we played when we did now. Would I like to play now? Yeah, of course I would. I'd love to play. I'd still love to play. But I'll tell you what, they're amazing athletes. They're a bit bigger, they're stronger. It's pretty, it's tough footy, Probably at times lacks the flair and the unpredictability of the old days. You watch some of those old videos on Fox and you see some of the balls get fanned from one side to the other, and it's quite refreshing to see that. It's a different game now, but it's still a great game. I still love it, but certainly glad I had my run when I did.
I've lost a bit of interest in footy as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
I think since the... you just don't see the characters that you used to. This fear that players seem to have of being outspoken. Like, I think rugby league is dying for someone like a Conor McGregor. Someone who goes out, calls out people from other teams, talks mad shit, and brings people to the games. I think having people so reserved and so terrified of being punished by the club, I think it's detrimental to the game. I mean, I don't know if you see it the same way. I just would love to see that.
I think it can be a bit robotic at times, whereas, front rowers would call out each other and it was a real us versus them back in the day. And you did have more characters, probably that could express themselves a bit more in the media and stuff. And, like you say, like a Conor McGregor, just awesome. But it's funny, then sometimes people will express themselves in their media and they probably get knocked and bagged a little bit as well, on the other hand. So I like seeing people expressing themselves, and, someone like a Paul Gallen, he says what he thinks, and whether you like it or not, he's creating opinion and discussion, and I admire someone that's not afraid to just say whatever they're feeling, in front of the camera, because it's better than the cliche, we'll be back to training on Tuesday and we'll do it for the boys. And whereas there still are a few out there that are quite honest and they give you an honest rundown rather than just the cliche.
I mean, I think Phil Gould was saying the other day, talking about injuries, talking about brain injuries as well. There's a problem now with CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which seems to be something that people are terrified of. Maybe they don't really understand it. From my understanding, it's more to do with, we're talking about concussions here, obviously. Talking about subconcussive injuries, that repetitive, almost like RSI in the wrist, that repetitive strain of the brain hitting the skull. Yeah. Is that something you think was that something obviously you ever thought about? Was that something that you think players should think about? And would you put your kids into a rugby league game knowing the risks?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, my kids play and they wear headgear, and I applaud the research and that's going into it now, so we can try and learn more about it. Yes, I had some head knocks over time, but I feel quite good, and I knew the risks because I love the game and I wanted to play. So I could only, if I did have any real issues, I'd be the only person I'd to blame. I wouldn't be looking to lay the blame on anyone. I just think that when you play rugby league, it's a collision game. It's tough. But amongst all that stuff, it's a great game to play, and you got mateship, and you learn about dedication and commitment and consistency and all that. So I love having my kids play a team sport, whether it's rugby league or soccer or hockey, it doesn't matter.
That's what you got to weigh up. Is the benefits outweigh the risks? And I think for a lot of the people, it does. Yeah. I'm so happy that I played, even though I put up all these risks with having these head knocks. I mean, and it's no one else's fault. it's not the other player's fault that hits you high or whatever. That's just a part of the game. It's not the people who are running the game. It's not the NRL's fault. It's the fault of the game in general, the sport. And it's the same with MMA, the boxing, all that type of stuff. All the great sports have that risk. And if you want to make the cash, you got to take the risk.
And I think it's the collisions and the physicality of that brings the crowds in.
100%.
And what we like, that's why you'll never see, 40,000 to a touch football game.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't got that physical. That's what brings people to the excitement of the
gladiator
collision.
sport.
Yeah, that's right. So that's what makes our sport what it is. And I know there's a bit of a negative to it, but I think the positives much outweigh.
And I understand why the NRL would ban things like fighting and make it more, more marketable to young families, and they don't want to have big shoulder charge collisions. Although I disagree with those rulings. I think that a shoulder charge is definitely a legitimate tackle, and I think fighting is one of the best parts of the game because it gives if you're a winger, you see a lot of wingers running into front rowers now, and they'll hold them by the collars.
Yeah.
Would you have ever done that back in the day to say like a Mark Carroll or?
Yeah. So I think people know they're protected now.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people love the fisticuffs and all that stuff of the past. But look, I'm not saying I didn't enjoy seeing it either, but I guess with society now, we've probably got to move on, and we want kids playing our game, and there's a lot of other options for kids out there. So, and we want the parents getting them into our game. So they're steps that had the league seed had to be taken. I suppose they're the right call, but like you say, as a kid, you remember watching Origin, and you'd see the early. No one would usually get hurt; they're just throwing haymakers, and it was a good part of our game back in the day.
I know you're a professional, and you've got to give a good answer to that, but bring back the biff.